and welcome. We are here yet again for another phenomenal training at the Black Woman Startup Summit. My name is E.R. Spalding and I am your founder, and I am so excited and happy to be here with you again. You know how we do. It is time for roll call, so let us know your first name, your last name, where you are from. Make sure that you are putting it inside of the feed. We always love to give you a shout out, and we are so happy that you are here again with us, tuning in for this next phenomenal speaker trainer. But before I go there, just want to make sure that we have a little housekeeping out of the way. Are you a part of the exclusive, the elusive, the private Facebook community? I mean, if you're not, that's where all of the action is taking place after the fact. We go over there and we're posting and commenting, and we're getting additional training. You never know when one of the trainers from the summit is going to pop over there and drop some very juicy nuggets. So if you haven't gone over there, make sure you go to www.blackwomanstartup.com and get part of the conversation. I mean, like, seriously, I want to make sure that you do it right now. Because, right? I love that. Because. Okay, I can't sing. But because our next trainer is international in her travels, she is international in her speaking, and she has a lot of international transformational stories to tell. But it wasn't always the case. Now, when I tell you that a woman who grew up in the projects, who stepped out of her home and all she saw were displays of despair and destitution, that she would be able to rise through the ranks to become one of the most sought after speakers, trainers, empowerment coaches around the world. I mean, my commitment to you is that if you showed up to the summit, we would bring you nothing but the best. And I believe we've held up our end of the bargain. If we've held up our end of the bargain, put in the feed, bargain upheld. Hashtag bargain upheld. We have been here and we've been doing a great and phenomenal job, I think, but it doesn't matter what I think. It only matters what you think. And what you think really matters. We have been coming here back to back each and every day to ensure that you get nothing but the best, because as a Black woman, I believe that you deserve the best. And this is why Cheryl Wood is here. I am so excited. When I called my sister up and told her what it is that I was getting ready to embark upon, she said, "Sis, I am so glad that you thought about me, and I am here to do whatever it is that you need me to do." And boy, is she waiting in the wings to deliver a powerful message about how the $1 million message is inside of you. See, we are here and we are looking for transformation, and some of you are speakers, some of you are coaches, some of you are authors, and you're flailing in your business because you're not looking at some other alternative streams of income. And that stops right here, right now, because when Cheryl hits the broadcast, I promise you, she is going to deliver some Black girl magic. So let us know, what's your first name, what's your last name, where are you from? Because after this, we're going to make sure that we come back and we check in on you to see what your $1 million message is within. Because you're here to impact lives through the stories that you tell, through the triumphs that you have etched into your bedpost. Yeah, we want to hear about all of those different things. So before she comes on, I want to make sure that you have all of the tools that you need in order to be present and fully present for her broadcast. So make sure that you text the keyword Cheryl, Cheryl. Again, you want to text the keyword Cheryl to 1652. By this time, you all know the ropes, but guess what? I'm just that kind of chick, just like you all are. We're making sure that we are crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. So download the workbook now. You're going to text the word Cheryl to 773-993-1652. I'm going to give you a few moments to make sure that you go ahead and do that. Print your workbook out. Grab your pen if you're old school. If you're a new techie connoisseur, it's okay. Go ahead and type away inside of your laptop and save that puppy. But what you don't want to do is move away from your laptop. You don't want to move away from your computer, away from your tablet, because Cheryl Wood empowers. And she is here as a Black woman startup trainer. And she is going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Cheryl, it's all on you, my dear.
Hey everybody, this is Cheryl Wood, founder and CEO of Cheryl Wood Empowers. I specifically work with new and emerging entrepreneurs who are ready to clarify, articulate, and monetize their message. And I am so excited to have this opportunity to be with you today to serve as one of your facilitators as a part of the Black Woman Startup Telesummit. This is an amazing opportunity that's going to allow you to tap into your unique gifts and figure out how do you not only use those gifts to impact the world in a big way, but also to impact your own life through the power of profit and revenue generation. So I'm super excited about my topic, the $1 million message within, how to impact lives and generate 7 figures through speaking. And I'll tell you why in just a few moments, because it's directly connected to my unique story, my life story of how tapping into speaking has transformed my life. I mean, my life, I almost don't even recognize it sometimes. And what I know is that every single one of you who's watching, you also have a powerful, unique story that is unlike anybody else's story. And that story can be your $1 million revenue generator. But so many of us discount the power of our stories. So many of us diminish the value of what we've been through and how it can serve and support someone else. So very often we go through a mess, and instead of allowing it to become a message for someone else, we say, oh, I want to run from that. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to hide from that. And typically that's because we're hiding from guilt, or we're hiding from shame, from things that perhaps we feel will diminish who we are. But what I've learned is that your mess, that's your greatest wealth generator. Your mess has the ability to transform someone else's life, to let someone else know they're not alone. And I promise you there's someone right now, somewhere in the world, who is going through something similar to what you've been through in life. You know, that moment that you had in your journey where perhaps you didn't know how you were going to get out of that situation. Perhaps you felt like you were at your lowest of lows. Maybe you felt like you had hit rock bottom. All of us have been there. And that same feeling that you had when you were going through your mess, your stuff in life, is something that someone in the world is going through right now. And so when you claim power over your truth and power over your story and your mess, wow, it opens up the opportunity for you to touch somebody else's life. And so I want to share what that looks like and how you can more powerfully articulate your $1 million message so that you're not only impacting lives, but you're also able to impact and transform your own life through increased revenue generation and increased profit margins. After all, that's why we're all in business, right? We didn't call it a charity. We called it a business. When you got that EIN number and you got your checking account, you called it a business because you were in it to generate revenue. So we want to make sure that we stay focused on being savvy Black women in business who are being fiscally responsible and who are not just being servant leaders that are touching people's lives with our message, but are taking that message and generating profit margins, increased profit margins, and wealth. Now, before I jump into the content of what I want to share with you, I want to say this. It's very important that you understand why what you know is so important. See, we live in an information society, right? There's a reason that Google has about 40,000 searches every second. Did y'all hear me? Not every minute, every second. Google has over 40,000 searches because people are looking for answers. All of us want to figure out how can we improve ourselves personally and or professionally. And so whether it's related to relationships or career or business or our finances or finding love or our style and image or even our health and wellness, whatever it is, we are always seeking information that will allow us to live happier, more fulfilling lives that are richer and that are closely aligned with the ultimate destiny that we want to reach. And so it's important that you understand that you have information that somebody else is looking for. So I want you to write this down right now. My story matters. My story matters. And I want you to add 3 or 4 or more exclamation marks behind that so that you can really focus in and hone in on the fact that somebody is looking for what you know right now. And that means you can no longer diminish or devalue what you've been through, the lessons you learned, and how it can touch someone else's life. So I want to jump right in because I want to give you guys some great things that you can take away that will allow you to position yourself to truly leverage a powerful and profitable business through speaking. Let me say this. It does not matter of the stage, because some of you are probably watching this and you're like, well, I don't really want to be a speaker. I don't love the stage. I'm fearful of the stage. Look, it doesn't have to be a situation where you love the stage and you want to be a full-time professional speaker. That doesn't have to be your desire. But it is important that every Black woman who wants to generate wealth, generational wealth, that you leverage every opportunity possible to increase your revenue, to add multiple streams of revenue. And speaking needs to be one of them. So even if you don't love the stage, you should always leverage the stage. And we'll give you some definitions about the stage and how you can break that down also into multiple streams of revenue. So again, repeat that to yourself. If you're that person who's maybe a little bit apprehensive about this whole idea of speaking and sharing your truth and your story, just remind yourself, even if I don't love the stage, I owe it to myself as a savvy Black businesswoman to leverage the stage. You guys got that? I owe it to myself because that's going to allow you to produce a business that functions on a one-to-many model versus one-to-one model. So imagine if you go out into the world and you try to speak and share a message, a core message, and you talk to one person at a time, one prospect at a time. Imagine how long that would take you to be able to impact the number of lives that you want to impact. That doesn't even count as it relates to generating revenue, right? Because all of the prospects that you have are not going to convert into paying customers. So when you leverage the stage, you are speaking to the masses of people at one time. You're speaking to many at one time so that now you have a higher percentage of individuals who are willing to convert over into your paying customers. That makes sense, guys? All right. So the first thing you got to do is stop leaving money on the table. We leave money on the table because, as I mentioned, we discount what we know. We diminish what we know. We assume that there's something that we're missing that will not allow us to be successful in the marketplace as it relates to sharing our truth and our story or our subject matter expertise. So I'll use myself as an example. So my background is that I grew up in an environment of poverty in the inner city of Baltimore, Maryland. It was a housing project called Lafayette Projects. And even if you don't know what Lafayette is, you know what the projects represents, right? So every day that I came out of my house, I really did see the worst parts of life. I saw people who were strung out on drugs. I saw people who sold drugs to those same people who were strung out on drugs. I saw crime. I saw violence. I saw teenage pregnancy, and just some of the worst parts of life. Even my own mother, who worked every single day, she's one of the hardest working women I know, had such a hard time putting food on the table as a single parent of 3 children. And she worked every day and got a paycheck, and she still struggled. And so we had to be on government assistance just to be able to eat every day for the 30 or 31 days of the month. So that environment was really a tough environment to ever be able to see myself as anything other than becoming another statistic, like a lot of the people that I watched in that environment. And even when I graduated high school, I didn't go off for 4 years of higher learning and higher education. I went straight from high school into the workforce so that I could start earning a paycheck, so that I could help pull myself and my mother out of poverty. So you're looking at a woman who bears the title now, international speaker, been featured on Forbes magazine, been featured in Black Enterprise, and all these amazing opportunities. I've spoken for the United Nations, the United States Department of Defense, and I've spoken in South Africa and India, and all that sounds so sexy and so pretty now. But the reality was, for a really long time, I left money on the table because I thought, who would ever pay me to hear my mess? Like, what do I know that's so significant that somebody would be willing to invest in learning from me? That just seemed so far from reality for me. It was mind-blowing to even think about what that concept would look like. And so I'm sharing that because some of you have been through some stuff, and some of you are questioning whether you're good enough. Maybe you think that you need more degrees or more certifications before you start sharing your message. But I'm here to tell you and remind you and kind of shake you up a little bit to remind you that you can start where you are right now with what you know right now. That there's something that you've been through and you fell down, you learned lessons, but you overcame it, and now you're still standing. Somebody wants that. Somebody wants to know, Cheryl, how did you grow this successful 7-figure speaking empire when you're a girl who grew up in poverty, who most people would have written off as becoming another statistic? Cheryl, how did you land all of these big paid speaking engagements? $10,000 to come and speak on stage for less than an hour to a company or a corporation. How did you get to that space from being a girl who doesn't even have a college degree, right? That means there's something I have that someone wants to know that will directly impact and help transform their life. It's up to me to put a price tag on it. So I want you to put that right now. Hashtag put a price tag on it. And I want you to own what you know and own the lessons that you've learned in life and own the fact that you're still standing, which means there's something you struggled through that you overcame, and somebody else can learn from what you learned through your process. And you can actually cut the learning curve for them because you can help them to get to their solution quicker than you got to your solution. That's the beauty of sharing your unique truth and your story and understanding that you really do have $1 million message within. So stop leaving money on the table by diminishing what you know and giving it all away for free. Whoo, I know that's going to step on somebody's toes, right? I can raise my hand and tell you I did it for a long time. Gave it all away for free. Like, have you ever given away some great advice or some great guidance or expertise to someone, and they came back and they told you how good and juicy it really was and how it got them to the ultimate result that they were seeking? Anybody ever have that happen to them? I've had that happen to me. And when they come back and tell you that, how many of you ever wish, man, I sure wish I had sent an invoice for that good juicy piece of content or knowledge or expertise, right? Because they went from one place of wanting something to a place of actually achieving it and manifesting it simply because of what you know. Now imagine if you take that and you craft it and you structure it into a presentation where you get to share that knowledge, those lessons learned with a group of people simultaneously, and you hashtag put a price tag on it. Imagine the amount of revenue that you can generate. So some of us are keeping ourselves in a space of financial lack and financial scarcity because we won't even use what we have. I need you to focus more on what you have than what you're lacking. I need you to understand the power of taking the knowledge that you have through the lessons that you've learned and the knowledge that you've acquired through external learning. And I need you to learn to package that and put a price tag on it so that you're shifting your money, right? Whether we like to acknowledge it or not, money talks. So it's important as Black women that we don't just serve. Serving is critical, but you need to be looking at your bottom line, because what does money do? Money opens doors of opportunities that otherwise would not be open for you. Money gives you choices and options, right? Where your kids go to school, what college they might be able to go to, how you're going to retire, where you're going to retire, where you get to go for vacation. Like, money talks. Money gives you greater influence, and it grants you access into spaces that you otherwise would not be granted access to. So yes, it's important that we're having this conversation about not only impacting lives with your $1 million message, but using it to generate 7 figures. So stop leaving money on the table and remind yourself, I must turn my free advice into paid expertise. I must turn my free advice into paid expertise. Okay. And again, that connects directly to your belief system of no. So here's how the subconscious mind works. The more you tell yourself something, the more you believe something, the more your actions begin to align with the belief. So I need you to connect that idea of turning your free advice into paid expertise to truth, that you have knowledge that somebody wants now and is willing to pay for now. Or as I like to say, I have the option to make millions while impacting the lives of millions. It doesn't have to be either or. And I can create millions, make millions, create generational wealth for my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, right? Because generational wealth gets passed down. And we want our children as Black women, I know you're as committed to this as I am, we want our African-American children to have options, to have choices. We want them to have, that 1 foot up by having that access that many of us did not have growing up. So we always want the next generation to do better than we do. And this is why this is such an important conversation, even for me. I'm a mother of 3. I have a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And I want them to know what it's like to travel the world. And I want them to have access and to know that whatever it is that they want to pursue, that money is not going to be the thing that's going to be the hindrance. Money is not going to be the thing that stops them or prevents them from living the life that they want or exploring new opportunities. I don't want money to be the hindrance. And if you feel that same way, then this conversation is doubly, triply, is that a word? It is double as important if you know that you are looking back and you're looking to impact a generation. Even if you don't have your own children, there's a generation of African-American children who are watching us. And they are going to believe what's possible or what's not possible based on what they see us do and accomplish. So we need to step up our money game, ladies, so that we can show this future generation behind us what's possible. All right, so how do we get to that space of greater revenue and greater profits and that 7 figures? Well, first of all, as a person who's going to leverage speaking, you need to understand the difference between inspiration and transformation. Inspiration, I call it your power zone. Transformation is what I call your profit zone. And here's why I say that. Whenever you have an opportunity to be on a platform and to share a core message with an audience, you are opening their minds up to a new idea of something that's possible. You're saying to them, there's something that you can have that's greater than what you currently have. You, during your presentation, as you're pouring into their lives, you are creating a visualization in their mind of what could be, what's possible for my life. And they want to feel like, okay, wow, I could actually do that. So whenever you're sharing your talking points, your story, supporting stories, metaphors, anything that drives home the main point or topic of what you're speaking on, you are in a space, in a zone of inspiration, which I call your power, right? Because it's very powerful to know that you can open your mouth and speak and that somebody's life can ultimately and potentially shift, right? That's powerful to know that you have that in your hands simply through your story and being willing to authentically and transparently share your story. So that's always inspiration. It's the idea of what's possible. Let me give an example. So again, when I shared that story that I recently shared with you about growing up in poverty, not having a college degree, and yet here you are today talking to Cheryl Wood, the international speaker who just got back from Africa, who went to India last year, who went to London last year to speak, and it continues to grow, and who has crossed the 7-figure mark in her business and is able to take her family with her on many of these international travels and touch lives globally. When you hear that, that could open up for you the possibility that, oh my God, if she could do it, maybe I can do it. Like just maybe. And that's all you're trying to get people to think of is a maybe. It's a possibility. There is a chance that I could have that too. That's inspiration. You are becoming a model for someone else of what they could possibly have. Okay? Then there comes transformation. You can never and will never transform anybody's life in a 45-minute speech. Can I just say that? You will never and can never transform somebody's life in a 60-minute speech, a 30-minute speech, a 15-minute speech. It's just not going to work. And I apologize. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties here. So it won't work. You're not going to transform anybody's life in that short window of time. All of us know that transformation happens over time. Please write that down somewhere. Transformation only happens over time. It's not going to happen from what they hear you say from the stage. Now, they might hear you speak on whatever the stage is or the platform is, and they may have an aha moment. And they may say, oh my God, I am moved, I'm inspired, I'm empowered, I'm motivated to open up my mind, to think bigger. But if they're truly going to transform, that's when you go into profit zone. Why? Because transformation, their transformation, is going to be connected to your solution. Let me say that again. Their transformation is going to be directly linked and connected to your solution. So the transformation is the action that's required of them in order to manifest the idea that you made them believe was possible during your presentation. That's profit zone for you, because now they say, I heard what you said. I believe in it. I'm ready for my transformation. Where do I sign up? That's when you collect the credit card. That's when you get the check, right? When they go into transformation, they're ready for transformation. They're ready to make the commitment, the time commitment, the financial commitment. Now that becomes your revenue zone and your profit zone. So please understand when you're in which zone, and understand that not everybody on every stage or platform is going to enter transformation zone and profit zone with you. Some people are going to come and they're going to love it. And they're going to tell you how great you were and amazing you were. And that's it. They're not going to take any further action. When that happens, please do not take that as a personal rejection. Because sometimes as speakers, we can get into our emotions and people might not sign up, or, and then we go right back to point zero, and we're deflated and we don't want to do anything else and we don't want to speak again because we took it as a personal rejection. Do not take no as a personal rejection, and do not allow the word no to crush you. That is so critical as a speaker. Ask me how I know so much about it, y'all. Anything that I share with you, the only reason I can share it from such a place of power is because I've been through it. I've experienced it. I know what it feels like. So I was the Black woman who used to go onto a stage and speak and feel deflated and discouraged if nobody went to the back of the room to sign up for their transformation, which put me in a profit zone. I did feel discouraged. But what I found was that I was spending so much time in discouragement that I couldn't move to the next thing, to the next opportunity that would allow me to get into profit zone. So don't waste your time feeling deflated and discouraged. Don't waste your time feeling crushed by no because somebody said no. No, let's move on to the next thing. You probably have heard this before. I like to use the word no as next opportunity. Let me go to the next opportunity. Or as my mentor, Willie Jolly, always says, if you say no, then you ain't the one. I'm going to go to the next one. And you keep moving until you find the people who are ready for their yes and ready for their transformation. Your job is not to chase people. Your job is not to convince people to want transformation. Your job is to extend transformation to the people who are ready and willing to do the work to get it and who have a sense of urgency about doing it. All right. So your transformation puts you directly into profit zone. Okay. I want to share with you and show you, if my computer works with me, I want to show you an example of inspiration to transformation and the difference. So this on this screen is a screenshot of my Infusionsoft account. It's a screenshot of our merchant account where we collect payments. And this specifically is related to a 60-minute free webinar that I hosted. Okay, free. So yeah, you got to give some stuff away, right? You have to educate and inform people, but there should always be an end result of why you're doing anything that's free. So I hosted this free webinar. We had about, I guess, 100 people who showed up for the webinar. And the webinar was on the topic, how to get highly booked and highly paid to speak. So great showing, over 100 people, but I already knew that 100 people were not going to say yes to their transformation. Please jot this down. You're never going to have a platform where everybody says yes. I have never seen that happen. You can be the most phenomenal, amazing orator. You can be the most phenomenal speaker, presenter. Your stuff can just be juicy. But I have never seen 100% conversion. Typically, for most speakers, especially if you're a new or emerging speaker, you're typically going to be somewhere in the 10 to 20% range. That's where most speakers start, somewhere in the 10 to 20% range. So if you have 100 people in a group, in an audience, on a webinar, whatever it might be, then you can anticipate, okay, maybe 10 of this 100 people will actually invest in their transformation. So again, on this free 60-minute webinar, I inspired them. I inspired every single person on the line. How? By sharing my story, by sharing my journey of success, but how I got there and some of the failures that I experienced and how long it took me to grow my 7-figure empire. I shared all of that, my background, the fact that I had worked as a legal secretary in corporate America for 15 years before I ever discovered this gift of speaking. I share all of that and how I transitioned into a new destiny, right? And to this space of speaking to leverage it and to tap into my $1 million message. So everybody who joined this free call got the same content and the same information. I shared powerful nuggets and takeaways. Some people at the end of the call, that was all they needed. And so they got the nuggets, they got the content, and they were about their way. But there's always a percentage who want more. What do they want? Transformation. And they understand they're never going to get transformation simply by nibbling on a whole bunch of free stuff. Ooh, that's powerful. You are not interested in magnetizing nibblers only. A nibbler is someone who may go here and get something free, and they go over to that webinar and get something free, and then they go, oh, it's a call over here, let me go get that for free. And they just nibbling on every free thing they can get, but they never invest in their transformation. So they never move from where they are to where they want to be because they never get the full meal. They're simply nibbling on a whole bunch of stuff, but they never get the full entree, which is the direct connector to their transformation. So those who got what they wanted and nibbled, they nibbled and they got great content. But there was a percentage of people who said, yes, we want transformation. And so we extended an offer. And as you can see from this screen, all these 804.04s, all of those are people who said yes to their transformation, right? We generated over $27,000, y'all, from 60 whole minutes out of my life. Come on now. From 60 minutes of free content to generating over 27,000. Now, here's the best part. That was within the first 24 hours. We extended the opportunity for an additional 48 hours and doubled this revenue. Come on. Can anybody get excited about that? Can you get excited about that possibility in your business? So I'm showing this to you because I want you to see what's possible. That you can take what you know, turn it into a core message, share that message, educate and inform people, and then convert a certain percentage of those individuals into paying customers who want transformation now. Like they want it now. The pain that they're going through, that they're experiencing is so potent. It's almost like if you get a migraine headache and you're like, oh my God, maybe you're a Tylenol person, right? Maybe you prefer Tylenol. But when you have a migraine, when you have something that's nagging you, you're like, I don't care what you have. I was at an event about a month ago, and one of the vendors there had a really, really powerful headache. And I said, well, and she said, well, can you find me something to take? What do you want? I don't care. Just get me some pain medicine. So you have those individuals who are like, no, I need the answer now. I need the solution now. I need to remedy this pain now. That's who you're trying to attract. And so imagine, what would that do for your business if you were able to host a free webinar and generate $27,000 in the first 24 hours? Double that to $54,000 within the next 48 hours. So I'm going to do the math for you. So you're talking 27,000 times 2, $54,000. If we did that same webinar once a month for the duration of the year, you're looking at $648,000 of revenue generation in our business. Guys, that's already over $500,000 from one webinar. So I want you to expand your mind about what you think is possible and expand your thought process on the fact that somebody truly wants what you know, and stop leaving money on the table. All right. I want to go into another fundamental, which is so important. And that is, I need you to shift your perspective about what the stage represents. Because when I became a speaker, I thought the stage was, okay, I'm going to get booked for an engagement. I'm going to be in a big ballroom or conference room. And I'm going to be speaking in front of, hundreds or thousands of people, lights, camera, action, right? But as long as I only define the stage as that, as being in a conference room or a ballroom in front of a live audience, I only had one revenue stream. Well, you cannot create wealth from one revenue stream. You cannot cross 7 figures or even 6 figures from one revenue stream. You might not even cross 5 figures with one revenue stream. You must diversify. You must diversify, and you must have multiple streams of revenue that allow you to create whatever your ultimate projection is of what you want to earn in your business. If it's 7 figures, that's great. If it's, multiple 7 figures, multiple 6 figures, whatever it is. So my redefinition of the stage went from, I'm going to be booked for a conference room, a ballroom in front of hundreds of thousands, to a stage is any platform where I get the opportunity to share my core message with an audience that's willing to listen. So if you take on that same definition, now look at all of these opportunities that can represent a stage. Again, just a platform, that allows you to share a core message or subject matter expertise with an audience who's willing to listen. So now, not only are you expanding your idea of the stage, but you're expanding your streams of revenue. It's a beautiful thing. So now you got conferences, yes, but you have webinars, podcasts, masterminds, workshops, seminars, live streaming, digital programs, boot camp events. All of those become separate individual streams of revenue that pour more and more profit into your business. Okay. So now I want you to ask yourself, now, how many of these stages, these platforms, have I been consistently tapping into for the purpose of revenue generation? How many of them have you been tapping into? And how consistently have you been tapping into them? This is how we grow. This is how you take your $1 million message. And what did I say at the beginning? You can make millions while impacting the lives of millions. And when you tap into these, and this is just service stuff, right? This is service-based. We're not even talking about product creation. This is services that you're going to offer to share your message and your voice. But this can help you to convert more prospects into paying customers. All right, everybody have that? Okay. Another thing that I've learned through the course of speaking and going from, look, let me say this. Let me pause for a moment because I need for some of you to understand just how far I've come in this journey. Because again, I want to be a model of what's possible for you. And I don't ever want you, if you've ever said it's never going to happen for me, I don't ever want you to have an excuse to say that ever again after today. Okay. Because when I started in 2009. I was working as a legal secretary in corporate America in a cubicle, a 10 by 10 cubicle. I hated going to my job every day. It wasn't the job, it was the lack of freedom. I wanted time freedom. I wanted financial freedom. I wanted creative freedom. To be as creative as I wanted to be. And as long as I was punching a time clock and building somebody else's dream, there's only so much freedom you're going to have working for someone else. Let's just call it out for what it is. So in 2009, I found myself as this frustrated woman, this frustrated Black mother of 3 children who wanted to be present and actively engaged in my kids' life. I didn't want anybody else raising my kids. I didn't want them to be in before care where they had to be there at 6 a.m. and then they stay there all day until aftercare at 6 p.m. And that's 12 hours that they're in somebody else's care. So technically somebody else is raising my kids because they're with them more than I was with them. And even worse than that was the fact that once I would get to my kids after 12 hours of being in somebody else's care, I gave them the worst parts of me. I gave them the tired mom. I gave them the frustrated mom who had been on a job all day that she didn't love, that didn't nurture her spirit, it didn't fulfill her soul. And now I brought all of that frustration to my children. I didn't give them the loving mother. I gave them an angry Black woman. That's what I gave them every single day. These were 3 children that for all of my adult life, I was told by doctor after doctor that I would never have. God had a different plan, blessed me with these 3 beautiful, healthy children. And now I can't even give them my time. I can't give them the best of me. That wasn't an option for me. And that allowed me to say, I have to discover how do I shift the trajectory of my life. Now, I didn't know what that looked like because, again, I came from poverty. I didn't have any examples of anybody in my family who was a millionaire. I didn't have any examples of what success really looked like. So I had to figure it out. And here's the best piece of advice I can give anybody, any of you who are watching. Just get started. You will figure it out. You will figure it out. And through being in movement and active motion, doors of opportunity will open. Relationships will be developed. And people will connect with you who see something in you. And sometimes they'll see more greatness in you than you see in yourself. And sometimes you'll have to stand on their shoulders until you build up the confidence and the belief in who you are and the fact that you do have a gift that the world is waiting for. So in 2009, I didn't just jump into speaking. I didn't even know that I had any speaking skills. I didn't even know that was on the radar for me. But what I did was I got started. And my thought process was, how do I create some kind of business that turns me from a consumer into a producer so that I can at least interrupt my norm and put myself on some path that shifts the direction of my life? You know, it's what I mentioned earlier. It's that possibility, just that little light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe, just maybe somehow I could shift my life and not have to come punch a time clock and build somebody else's dream. And so in 2009, I said, I want to start a business that's connected to what I'm passionate about, what I love, because I didn't want to chase money. I wanted to make money, but I didn't want to chase money. And what I know is that if you don't connect your business, your message to something you truly believe in, something that you have, a stake in the ground, like, look, nobody can convince me otherwise outside of this, that I really believe in this, then that passion for that thing, that core topic or expertise or message will allow you to hang in there in the business, even when things are not going exactly as you plan. And believe me, that's going to happen. There are going to be things that look, you're going to lose things. You're going to lose friendships. You're going to lose relationships. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose clients. Like, that's just a part of business. So get ready for it, right? It's just a part of business. And you don't have time for pity parties. So you just suck it up and keep moving to the next thing. And so I wanted to make sure that I was passionate about something that would carry me through what I knew were going to be some tough times that would come in business, because business is not easy, right? Or everybody would sign up and say, I want to do it. And it's not. It's not for wimps. It's for people who really are committed to a different reality. So in 2009, I decided to start a business. I called the business Moms Are the Best. It was a t-shirt business that was specifically designed to celebrate women and moms and what we do in the world and how well we serve our families and our communities. Now, did I think that, a t-shirt business was going to turn me into a millionaire? No, not. I didn't. But I was willing to interrupt my norm and explore. I was willing to put myself in a path of movement and motion that would somehow open up new opportunities, new doors, new relationships that could, possibility, shift my life. So I still kept my full-time job as a legal secretary. So I started growing my business while I was still working a full-time job, still nurturing my marriage with my husband of 17 years, still raising 3 children. 18 months into going to events on the weekends and trade shows and conferences and setting up a little table and trying to sell t-shirts. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I came home broke, busted, and disgusted the same way I left out in the morning. And it was discouraging, but I just kept going. I would pack up and I'd go home and then I'd pack back up and leave again the next day, next weekend, and do it all again. 18 months later, I get a phone call from somebody at Morgan State University who says, Miss Wood, we heard about your t-shirt business. We love what you're doing. We would like to invite you to come and be a speaker at our annual women's conference here at Morgan State University. And we would like for you to teach other women, Black women in the community and Black moms how to start their own businesses. Y'all, I burst out laughing. I said, well, clearly you done dialed the wrong number. I know you're not looking for me because I wasn't a speaker. I didn't see myself as a speaker. That's the power of getting started. That's the power of being in motion, is that you will be, I believe, detoured to exactly where you're meant to be, to your lane of brilliance that will allow you to generate 7 figures. So I could have said no because I didn't feel qualified, but I believe even when you don't feel qualified, oftentimes you have been called to do something. All of you have a message that you've been called to share in the marketplace to impact people's lives and to generate your 7 figures that you're looking to generate. So you owe it to yourself to say yes more than you say no when opportunities like that show up, and focus more on what you have than what you're lacking. So I said yes, I took the opportunity. I went to that event, September 18th, 2010. I showed up as though I knew what I was doing, even though I didn't. I planned and I prepared as much as I could. And I will never forget how amazing I felt when I opened my mouth and I started sharing my story of where I'd come from, of what I was working towards. And at the time, my message wasn't teaching people speaking. It wasn't, because I didn't know anything about it, right? You should only teach what you know. Oh, that's juicy. Please write that down. You should only teach what you know. You can't teach people how to come out of a mess if you still a mess, right? If you still going through mess. You can't teach somebody else how to come out of it. You need to be on the other side of it. You already need to be the overcomer. Okay. And so I, at the time, used to teach women, Black women, how to press through their own fears of not feeling good enough, not feeling qualified, how to be big risk takers and go for what they want in life, and to be determined and committed to create the reality that they want. That's what I used to teach. That's what I used to speak about. And I literally used that. And that September 18th, 2010, I knew that I was born to speak. I knew that I had $1 million message within me and that I was going to teach other women. From that moment, I was like, I'm going to teach other women how to share their $1 million message. I didn't call it $1 million message then because I wasn't making millions, right? But I knew that other women just like me had a powerful, impactful message that they absolutely could monetize. So at the top of 2011, I started speaking everywhere they would have me. And I invested, and I say I invested because I waived my fee. I was a free speaker back then, right? So anybody who would have me, I would come because I needed experience and I needed exposure. I needed experience and exposure. Visibility trumps ability as a speaker. It doesn't matter how amazing you are. It doesn't matter how much ability you have. If you have no visibility, you will be a best kept secret sitting behind your laptop trying to figure out why you're still broke, but you want to share your message. So I was out in the marketplace, speaking, sharing a message. Oftentimes I paid for my own flight to fly somewhere else and to speak. I would pay for my own hotel. Nobody paid for anything, but I believed in me so much. I believed in my message so much and what it could do to impact other people's lives and my life that I was willing to invest time, energy, finances, whatever was required, whatever was necessary, I was willing to do. Are you willing to do that? So that you can impact lives and you can generate millions, 7 figures in your business. Okay. So I need you to understand that it might not happen. Okay. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. So let me give you the formula that I began to implement in my own speaking business. Once I realized that this is what I knew that this is what I was born to do. I want to share with you the formula that I created so that I would always position myself to turn prospects into paying customers, because it's not enough just to serve. I've said that probably 3 or 4 times in this webinar. You have to make sure that it leads to monetization, right? You can make millions while impacting the lives of millions. So here is your S-squared formula that's going to allow you to generate that 7 figures. So solution, strategy, success, and story. Solution, strategy, success, and story. This means you have to have a core solution that's backed by a solid strategy to get to that solution, supported by success of you and others who have implemented that strategy to get to the solution, and founded and based upon a authentic and transparent story. That's your mess, y'all. That's all the stuff you've been through and the lessons you learned to get to where you are today. When you follow this formula and you incorporate these 4 S's every time you speak, no matter what the platform, you share your story, you share successes, you share a strategy, or you at least have a strategy available for them to invest in, and an ultimate solution that they're looking for, that's how you monetize. That's how you create your 7 figures. So let's break down each one of those really quickly. Solution. Is it what they want right now? So too many, people who have a message, they're focusing on what they think people need. And really, people will buy a want, something they want, and they will justify the need later. So have you ever, and I'm sure this applies to every woman on here, including myself, you ever bought another pair of black shoes? Another pair, right? And you have 12 pair at home already. Why do you buy the new pair that you just bought? Because you wanted it. You wanted it to go with that special outfit that you had, that special dress for that special occasion or event. So it wasn't that you needed a pair of black shoes, but you wanted it. And so you purchased it based on a want. And then you justified the need for it later, right? Oh, honey, right? You explain to your husband, I needed those shoes because it was the best pair of shoes for this dress. It was the perfect height. It was this. So you justify the need later. So I need you to know, what are you providing a solution to? Your target audience, whoever that is, whoever you want to speak to, serve, coach, work with, provide guidance to and expertise to, what is it that they're struggling with and they want the answer now? And what is your solution to it? Okay, that's critical. And then I said that that had to be backed by a strategy, meaning what's your how to? How do I get there? So, okay, you're telling me you have a solution for me, so I don't have to keep going through this pain I'm in, but what's the solution? So do you have a step-by-step formula or process or system that anyone can follow so that they can duplicate the results that you've gotten? When people hear you speak and they hear you tell your story and give your talking points and everything else that's wrapped up into your signature speech, they want what you have. They want the outcome that you've already figured out. So you have to sit down and be clear about how you got there. Some of you haven't done that yet. And that's why you're not able to create packages and programs to serve people, because you have not taken your idea of how did I get here? What were the steps? Exactly what did I do? And taking it out of your head and putting it into content that people can purchase and invest in, right? So ask yourself, do I have a step-by-step system? Do I have a step-by-step process or formula anybody can follow? And is it clear? Is it simple? And is it easily repeated? Okay, and then this success is your proof in the pudding. You know, the proof in the pudding. Like, how do I know this is going to work? Has this worked for you? Has it worked for anybody else? So this is where you're going to share stories of success, right? Your own success, but also other people that you work with who have utilized your strategy to get to a solution. So I could tell you about a whole host of clients that I've worked with who came to me and they had a lack of clarity when they first started speaking. They were all over the place. They didn't really know what their core message was. They weren't clear about who their core audience was. They didn't know how to structure a signature speech. They didn't know what their signature story was. They didn't know how to get more speaking engagements. They didn't know how to generate speaking. Guess what? I can give you name after name after name of individuals who I've worked with. They are my proof in the pudding. They are my credibility. I can share the story of one of my clients, Andrea Martin, who came to me and thought she wanted to talk about one thing, but through working with her and digging deeper, it was a completely different topic that she really was an expert in, but she was running from her truth. She was running from her real truth. Now she's standing fully in her truth. Here we are a year and a half later. And now she has not only hosted her own conference, which she filled every seat, right? She put butts in the seat. So she had over 100 people for her conference. She monetized that conference. She's speaking all over the world. Another client, Myra Figueroa Clark, the love expert, came to me all over the place, not sure who she wanted to be. I identified for her, you've got to get clear and specific and niche down. Now she's known by everybody as the love expert. She's helping single professional women to find love. She's about to have her third conference, her third annual conference every year, sold out conference, about to publish her first book, speaking all over, speaking at various conferences, monetizing, tapping into her $1 million message. So if they can do it, you can do it. So what's your success stories? And then last but not least, your story. This is a must. Every time you get on any stage, you must share your story, right? That's your story. Your signature story is different from supporting stories. So supporting stories, they drive home the point of your talking points. But your signature story is a story you tell every time. I don't care if they give you 15 minutes on stage or an hour on stage. You always share your signature story because it is the identifying and branding story that people will begin to connect with, and they will start to repeat that story. So if I were to ask you, what is Les Brown's signature story? Who is he? Oh, he's Miss Mamie Brown's baby boy, right? He was a foster kid, him and his twin brother, and they were in poverty, and he was determined that he was going to be able to position himself financially to be able to buy one of those big homes that his foster mother used to clean all the time. And he talks about all the struggles that they went through. That's his signature story. The man has been speaking for over 40 years, and he still, to this day, tells the same story. Why? It's his truth. It's his signature story. So your signature story doesn't change. So the question is, are you sharing your signature story? Are you making sure that it doesn't change? And is it a story where the people who you're talking to, your target audience, can see themselves in you? Does it make you relatable? Does it create a deep level of engagement so that they can believe that they too can experience exactly what you have. Guys, the formula works. I want you to jot it down. Okay? Your solution, your strategy, your success, and your story. This really quickly is an example of what happened for me once I incorporated that formula. My average customer investment increased by 4 to 5 times. It literally went from over here to the left. You can see an average of customer investment from 2,000 to 7,000. Over here on the right, to our average customer investment went up to 5,000 to 25,000 on average. Talk about $1 million message, right? You have that potential. So guys, in closing, speaking has changed my life. From the girl who grew up in poverty, didn't go to college, worked as a legal secretary for 15 years, and now is traveling the world, tapping into her $1 million message, earning 7 figures. It changed my life. It changed my family's life. I've been able to travel all over. And as you see from these pictures, my family, they go with me. Like, you can't do that if your money is not right in your business. If you broke, busted, and disgusted in your speaking business or in your business, you can't create opportunities, memories like this for your families. So I knew that I wanted to create these type of memories. We went to South Africa for the first time a couple months ago. We went to India last year, and just a whole lot of amazing opportunities that my children and I get to experience together. Here I am speaking into the lives of young girls at a university in South Africa. That's as a result of me sharing my message. Here is me speaking to young girls and women in India. And it continues. So the question for you is, are you ready? Are you ready to generate 7 figures? Are you ready to impact lives, and transform your own life by putting a price tag on it? Hashtag put a price tag on it. All of you have $1 million message within you. I need you to make the decision right now, right here today. Make the decision that you are someone's solution and that you deserve to make millions while you impact the lives of millions. Thank you so much. I hope this has added great value to you. Please stay connected with me at Cheryl Empowers on social media.